Hey everybody, Bush, let's begin Forex. Welcome to the CAD complex for September 11th to September 15th of 2017. Well, dollar CAD continues to amaze and impress as it ends its fourth week to the downside. This is probably perhaps the single biggest movement here, with Bank of Canada surprising the market with a rate hike at this particular meeting. But having really taken out this level here, come very, very close. I think 2050 was the low here. We are, in my opinion, very close to some significant support levels. This 120, not only a big psychological level, but also a technical level here. And I have to believe that the trade here is, yeah, perhaps 100 points to the downside, but that's about it. As a matter of fact, the reversal today tells me that there's a serious potential here, that this was all she had, and we may be reversing our way on a short covering basis, at least to 2300 as the week progresses. Don't have any significant Canadian data next week, but in many ways we're sort of exhausted on the Canadian move. If we get negative oil prices and a recovery in the dollar, both of those factors could help us move back up. If we don't, the trade to the downside, I think, really comes to a full support bottom at around 120, and that's where I'll be making. We're hugely oversold. Yes, the bounces have been very, very shallow, but nevertheless, we're due for a bounce. And I think the bounce this week is quite possible. So to me, the Canadian dollar, just from a statistical point of view, is more of a rebound trade than it is a continuation trade. And I'd be looking for any kind of a turn in any of the CAD pairs to the upside as you trade this particular pair. So looking at the complex here, so obviously dollar CAD 2050 would be the stop if you just want to bottom hunt at this point, or bottom pick at this point. CAD yen is going to be very indeterminate, because if I'm bullish the yen and I'm bearish Canadian dollar, I think this is going to be a very, very choppy area. If there's more risk aversion in dollar yen, there may be actually a turn here in CAD yen. But with CAD yen here, the trade is probably either neutral or to the downside, with 88 as a near-term target. OddCAD, as I said, one of my favorite trades to the upside here. Again, OddCAD perhaps was the strongest evidence of a bottoming or the topping of the Canadian dollar, right? Because the Australian dollar really bottomed out against the Canadian dollar here on a weekly. And to me, that usually, very often, you get the earliest signals of strength or weakness, just like we have all of these early signals of euro weakness across the spectrum except against the dollar. We may have the first sign of Canadian weakness with the Australian CAD pair, and this is where I'd want to make my stand to the upside. So I kind of like this trade to the upside as a turn trade as we go forward. Kiwi CAD may not be, let me see what Kiwi CAD is. Oops, what did I just do here? Bear with me, sorry. Oh, sorry guys. I hit the wrong button. Let's try this one more time. So Kiwi CAD also showing not as clear a signature as the Aussie CAD of a little bit of bottoming out here. And I kind of like it as well. EuroCAD, both of those trades I think are going to be turn trades, meaning that I think the euro kind of dies and the Canadian dollar dies. So not that interesting to me as a trade. Although euro showing a little bit of strength against the Canadian dollar as well here, popping up. So that could be potentially a pop trade. Ultimately, though, I think probably if you're going to trade on Canadian strengths, you probably want to do it against the pound, which ended up. Let's just look at the pound CAD trade. So here's a pound CAD trade, just like Aussie CAD trade on the weekly, showing the strongest reversal signal on the books, much more volatile. This is sort of the absolute antithesis of the odd CAD in terms of volatility. If you want a lot of action, this could be the trade here to the upside. 160 kind of the natural bottom. The 159 is really the bottom here on the trade here, to give yourself room and potential for a move to 63, 64 if the pound begins to rally or the Canadian dollar begins to turn on in the next couple of days.